Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Kendall, and today I'm going to be giving you my graphic novel and manga recommendations. So within the last year or so, I've gotten more into manga and graphic novels. They are really easy reads when you aren't feeling like stressing your brain out about, like, maybe if you're reading a thriller and you're confused, or if you're reading fantasy and they're throwing a lot of stuff at you. Manga and graphic novels really help to kind of unstimulate your brain in a way. Which sounds kind of bad, but not really. Like, sometimes your brain just needs a break from like these big words and these new worlds that you're trying to learn and all of that other good stuff in novels, but they do help a lot. And I always think graphic novels and manga are, well, maybe not manga specifically because some of it's a little bit graphic, but graphic novels really help kids like start the process of learning how to read and learning how to comprehend what they're reading. But especially with times like these where I'm feeling like I'm in a slump and I just want to read but I don't know what I want to read, and I also don't feel like reading, and it's just a big, I hate slumps, they're the worst feelings, but that's what I'm in right now, and graphic novels and manga are the biggest help for me because they are giving me like slow progress in my reading goals and in getting my reading done every day, because I do like to read every day, but I don't have to commit to a large book or like a whole story because they're very small. So I'm just going to be giving you some recommendations of what my favorites are so that maybe you guys can pick out some, or, you know, figure out what you like. So one of the first real manga series that I read and like continued on throughout the series was Tokyo Ghoul. This is the first volume. And I'm gonna read the back of these, like the synopsis, because in manga synopsis they're usually short, so that you guys can get to know like the storyline. So this one says, ghouls live among us the same as normal people in every way except their craving for human flesh. Shy Kin Kaneki is thrilled to go on a date with a beautiful Riz, but it turns out that she's only interested in his body, and eating it, that is, when a morally dubious rescue transforms him into the first half-human, half-ghoul hybrid. Kin must survive ghoul turf wars, learn more about ghoul society, and master his new powers. This one is a little bit more graphic. I mean, manga to me is not as graphic as like anime, maybe, because anime you are actually watching it happen, but there is some graphic content in here. Like, there are ghouls that do eat people. There's a lot of like blood and gore, so I would be careful going into this if that's what you're like a little nervous about. But I thought this series was really good. It does take a while to kind of pick up. You get a lot of the background story, and you get Ken like learning his way around society and learning about ghouls and different things, and come to terms with who he is now when he gets turned into a ghoul or half ghoul. So it's really like odd, but it takes about, I would say it starts to pick up around volume 5, 6, and then like volume 8 is when it hits like the climax point, and there are 14 volumes in this series, so it's not a big series at all. And I just really love these covers. First off, I think they're gorgeous, but I really love the storyline and the characters in this book, or in the series. They're really easy to fall in love with and get to know. So I highly recommend this if you're looking for like an intro to like horror manga or things like that. Like, this is definitely moving into the horror genre, but it's not quite there in my opinion. And then you have Orange, which is like a slice of life manga. It's really cute. I really liked this one, and I still need to pick up the second volume in this collection, but let me read you what this one's about. A plea from the future. On the day that Naho begins 11th grade, she receives a letter from herself 10 years in the future. At first, she writes it off as a prank, but as the letter's predictions come true one by one, Naho realizes that the letter might be the real deal. Her future self tells Naho that a transfer student, a boy named Kakaru, will soon join her class. The letter begs Naho to watch over him, saying that only Naho can save Kakaru from a terrible future. Who is this mystery boy, and can Naho save him from his destiny? This heart-wrenching sci-fi romance that has over 1 million copies in print in Japan. So this is, I don't even know what to say about this book. This is just really, really, like, there's like a, I forget the movie, but there's a movie with Nicolas Cage where he is like decoding something that they put in a time capsule. If you guys know what I'm talking about, please comment it, because I can't remember what the movie is. But he's trying to prevent the end of the world, basically, by decoding these messages and figuring out what the future was trying to tell them and stuff like that. And I kind of got that vibe from this one, but this one's not as, like, this one's a little more, not upbeat, but, like, yeah, kind of more upbeat and, like, a little less doomsday, I guess you could say. I mean, because it's not the end of the world. She just has to, you know, be able to save this boy, which is a big deal. But this has some of my favorite illustrations. I know that most manga have the same type of illustrations, but I just really like the look of this one inside, if you guys can see it. It's just one of my favorites, and it is a bit of a thicker volume, so this one, you know, you have to be prepared to, you might stop, but it's a pretty easy read. There's not like a ton of words on the pages, so it's not going to take you, it may take you like an hour to get through, whereas like one little shorter manga may take you like 30 minutes, but I highly recommend picking this one up if you want like that little bit of like slice of life, but you also want a little bit of fantasy or like sci-fi-ness brought into your reading as well. The next one I recommend is also one that's a bigger manga, and it is I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. I know the title is a little bit off-putting, but it means more than you think it means. I picked this one up not knowing that it was like one of the saddest things I've read. This book crushed my soul. I did cry when I read this, and I didn't think I would ever cry in a manga, but I did, and I'm happy that it was this one. But first off, this cover is really gorgeous. Also highly recommend reading this in like the springtime, because that's kind of like the vibes that this book gives off. But let me tell you what this one's about. In this deeply moving first-person story, an introverted high school boy finds his classmate's diary and learns her biggest secret. Yamachi Sakura is dying from a pancreatic disease, and now he is the one person outside her family to know the truth. The last thing the boy wants is to be her friend, but Sakura's cheerful demeanor and their shared secret draw them together in this heart-rending tale of friendship and mortality. You're dealing with a lot of hard-hitting emotions in this book, and there are some like deep topics on grief and different things like that, so be careful when you're going in this book. This is not like a happy-go-lucky read. I'm not, like, there are moments that do make your heart kind of just be like, aw, but you do have your moments where it's sad and it's hard to read, so but it's definitely worth the tears, worth the effort, worth the read. And if you're feeling like a little bit more of an emotional feeling, you should pick this manga up. Okay, since I'm showing you like these big mangas, I'm going to go ahead and show you this one. This one I have not personally read, but I know that a lot of people, some of the issues that they have with manga is that it's black and white, there's no color. Well, this is one that I have been able to find, Sazan and Comet Girl, and it's like a sci-fi fantasy manga, and it is all in color. So I really snatched this one up when I found out I liked how it sounded and that it was in color, because you don't see that very often. So it says, Sazan, a young man from Earth, works construction on other planets and has seen his share of galactic oddities. But when he meets Mina, a vivacious redhead who zooms into his life on a space scooter, he knows he's run into someone special. Almost as suddenly as she arrived, Mina races out of Sazan's life, yet Sazan is determined to find her again, no matter how far he must chase her across the galaxy. The illustrations in this are super cute, and the colors, like, they're just, look how vibrant they are. They are gorgeous, and it looks like you're reading like a older comic book in a way, and I really like that feel. And again, this one has spaceships, and you're in the galaxy, and so you're having this like sci-fi feel to it, and I think that's fun that it's taking place like not on a planet but like in the galaxy itself. So I'm really excited to get to this one, but I wanted to give this as a recommendation, you guys, for an option of maybe a colorful comic type of manga that you might enjoy if the ones that you see here aren't really up your alley. So one that I picked up that I was recommended by Olivia is Hat Atler, and I know I'm not saying that correctly, but that's how I say it in my head, so that's how I'm going to say it out loud. But this is one of the cutest mangas. I absolutely love this. My favorite type of manga genre is where you have these children who are like these little, with like little fantasy elements sprinkled in. So you have like children witches, or children angels, or like children spies, stuff like that. Like, it's just really cute, and they're like easy to read and easy to enjoy. So let me tell you what this one's about. Meet young Coco, curious and bright and desperate to learn how magic's wrought, but witches keep their secrets hidden tight, and witches, Coco knows, are born, not taught. Then one day Coco spies upon a witch as he prepares the charms for which she yearns, and sees that, like her skill with thread and stitch, the truth is, magic's something she can learn. Now with this knowledge, Coco starts to try to teach herself the witch's way with charms, and yet her aspirations go awry as Coco's magic causes grievous harm. To set things right, young Coco leaves her home, and so begins the tale within this tome. First off, when you read that, and the rhyming just, I don't know what it did, but it like drew me in. But you really have these cute little characters that are so easy to fall in love with and so easy to learn, and there's also like a really good storyline, and you know, Coco has done these things and she has to go about these trials and all of this stuff where she's still learning her magic, and she is having to be taught by Quifrey, who is pictured on the back here, who looks after these girls, and they are his apprentices. It's a really cute story, and I really love it, and I think there are 9 volumes out now, and they're still coming out with volumes, so I am up to volume 4, and once I read that, I'm definitely picking up volume 5 and just continuing on this series. So this next one I read kind of recently, and it is Beyond the Clouds, The Girl Who Fell from the Sky. Look how cute. So I know that I think it's supposed to be pronounced Studio Ghibli. I say Studio Ghibli, but it's, you know, but it's part of the part of Final Fantasy, and this one was so stinking cute. It's probably one of my new favorites. Let me tell you what this one's about before I go into the details. It says, living beneath the haze of Yellowtown, young Theo has never seen the stars. He works as a mechanic and spends his off hours digging through the town's trash heap for abandoned treasures. He's always had the soul of a dreamer, but he's given up on living the kind of fantastical life he's read about in books. Then one day he finds an amnesiac, injured girl with wings, and everything changes. Theo's talents help fix her wing, and their quest will take them beyond the clouds, farther than either could have imagined. So Theo is this little boy, and he is working for this cat man thing, you know, and he doesn't really get to explore and be his true dreamlike self, and so that's all he wants to do. And then he meets this little girl, and she has one wing, because the other one has, we don't know what's happened to the other one. So he's building her this wing, and it ends on a cliffhanger. It's so stinking adorable. This is another one that has just little kids and like a little fantasy element added to it, and I just am dying to pick up the second one as soon as possible because I have to know what happens. I think this is a newer type of series. The 4th one just came out in July, and they are going to continue it, but I'm excited to see where it goes. And my last manga recommendation is also one that I have just read recently, and I'm pretty sure like a lot of people have read this one, but I just haven't got around to it until now, and that was the first volume of Spy Family. Absolutely adored it. So this one says, Master Spy Twilight is unparalleled when it comes to going undercover on dangerous missions for the betterment of the world. But when he receives the ultimate assignment to get married and have a kid, he may finally be in over his head. Not one to depend on others, Twilight has his work cut out for him, procuring both a wife and a child for his mission to infiltrate an elite private school. What he doesn't know is that the wife he's chosen is an assassin and the child he's adopted is a telepath. That's so stinking. I just love this book. It was so quirky and it was funny, and Anya, who is the child and she is a telepath, hears these thoughts from one parent who is supposed to be a spy and one who's supposed to be an assassin, and I think she's just like, what is going on? She made this so fun and easy to read. Twilight is the spy and he's like hard to get to know, but he's already made like a simple like kind of decision that you wouldn't think he would make just based on spy knowledge, so you can tell he does have a heart. And then you have Yoru, who is an assassin, and she's under this like pressure from her family and from society to get married, because women who are not married by a certain age look suspicious to the society, and so she kind of jumps at this opportunity, and it's just a really, really good read. I don't know how many, I think there are 12 out, but I don't know exactly how many are out, but I'm so excited to get the rest of them and to read these. This is also one of my new favorites, so I have a lot of good ones coming up, but this one's more like a slice of life with like action and adventure thrown into it. So if you like fun, quirky but action filled stories, you'll definitely like this manga. A ton of these I'm not going to go into because I've done like TBRs and wrap-ups with them, but I'll explain like why I like them so much. So first off, we're going to start off with our middle grade graphic novels. And these are just some of the ones that have been my favorites. The Secret Garden by Mariah Marsden was one of my favorites. It has really good, I mean, it's a really good classical story retelling, but with graphics. I really like the art style of this one. It's really cute, and it's very like, it's colorful, but like most of them are pastel colors, which adds to like the feel of how Secret Garden makes me feel. I feel like the majority of this story made me feel melancholy for a long time, just because of everything that's going on, but this one is really cute. I recommend picking this up in like the spring or like possibly even the fall, but usually spring, just because of how the flowers are blooming and the gardens are growing and things like that. But if you're looking for like a classic retelling story with really cute graphics, this is the way to go. I also just did a review on this one. I read The Okay Witch by Emma Steinkellner, or Steinkellner, I don't know how you say her name. But it's this 13-year-old little witch, and she is learning that she is a witch and growing up with these powers, and her mom has really sheltered her from like what she is, and so she's had a really hard time with that, and it's just a really cute story to me. It also has like a lot of background about like witch trials and witches in general and stuff like that, so I really thought this one was adorable. This is probably one you want to read around fall or Halloween, just because of the vibes that it gives off though. This one I would probably also read around fall or Halloween, but you can read it around any time, because it's not centered around like any sort of time period, and it is Brightly Woven by Alexandra Bracken. This is also not a classic retelling, but it's a retelling of the book Brightly Woven, but as a graphic novel. So you have this 14-year-old girl named Sidel, and she weaves, and that's what, you know, she's always been taught that she needs to do, is just weave and, you know, get a career out of that. But then you have this mysterious wizard that shows up on the front. You can see him. His name is Waylon, and he needs his cloak woven, because you have to have all of these certain colors on your cloak to perform all of your magic and stuff like that. And so he kind of, you know, pulls in Sidel to help him, and Sidel's like a little bit more interested than just the cloak. She wants to know about what's going on and why he's running and all of this other stuff, but he really needs help getting around. He doesn't know his way around places, and so he's lost, and Sidel, you know, offers to help him get to this kingdom to fulfill his mission. And it's a really cute story. I really like the graphics in here. They're pretty bright and just really colorful, and Sidel is like, I love her, and it's not just because she's a redhead, but that does add to it. And Waylon's a really, really good character, and I really wish there were more of these, because I just loved this one. The next one I recommend is The Witches by Penelope Bagieu, I think is how you say her last name. It's a retelling of The Witches by Roald Dahl, but it's in, you know, graphic novel format. So the illustrations honestly are not my favorite, but the story is really cute, and it was fun seeing this play out, because I personally have never seen the movies of The Witches. I have seen like clips, so I know some of the things that go on in the movie, but I have never watched the movie, so it was fun to watch it play out like as a movie type of thing. But I feel like this one's more, you know, like a funny type of artistic style, and I think the movie, you know, everything is meant to be funny, so I think that that's a really cute way to do it with the animation. So I highly recommend this one. Again, this is probably one you want to read around fall or Halloween, just because it deals with witches, but you can read it at any time. So now we're going to be moving on to the young adult graphic novels. One that I highly recommend, which was my first graphic novel that I ever read, is Nimona by Noelle Stevenson. Nimona is really cute and quirky and funny. It's got fantasy elements in it. You have like dragons, and you have science and stuff like that going on. It's just so funny. You have like this sidekick and this really big supervillain, Nimona and Lord Blackheart. I forgot his name for a while, but they're working together, and they're trying to prove that this hero, Sir Ambrose Goldenloin, I forgot how to say his name, Sir Ambrose Lord and Goldenloin, good lord, he has a hard name to say, and his like followers and stuff aren't the heroes that everybody thinks they are. And so I think it has a really good story though, because you have some people who seem like good people to the community and show off this side of them, but they're not really good people, and it's just like you have these people who people think are bad people, and they're not bad people. And so it's kind of going into that element of you're finding out who is real, what kind of person they are. But this one is such a good like first graphic novel to read, and I absolutely adored it. My next graphic novels that I recommend are the Teen Titans series. There are 3 out at the moment: Raven, Beast Boy, and Beast Boy Loves Raven. So I'll show you the covers of each one so you guys can see what they're like. And then you have this one. So in the first one, of course, you follow Raven. In the second one, you follow Beast Boy. And then they meet in the third one. I was never like a huge fan of Teen Titans. I watched it if it was on, but I do really like it now that I've like thought about it, and like, you know, I've seen a few of the old episodes and stuff like that, and it was really fun to watch them do it in a graphic novel version, and them being like a real teenage kids and stuff like that, instead of like, I mean, they're animated in here, but you know what I mean, they look more realistic. But these were really cute graphic novels, and I don't know what it is about DC Inc. graphic novels, but they always pull me in. That's a lot of what the young adult graphic novels are, and they just melt my heart. So if you want a nostalgic type of feel of Teen Titans or stuff like that you used to watch or like, I think that you would like these. These are really, really cute and just fun to read, and they have really good storylines and enemies, and it kind of feels like you're reading, like, I mean, I guess a superhero graphic novel, because that's what it is. The next group that we're introducing are the adult graphic novels. I haven't read that many adult graphic novels, but the ones that I have read, I've enjoyed quite a bit. Of course, the one that I enjoy the most is Lore Olympus by Rachel Smith, and it is like it came from a webtoon comic, and it's about Hades and Persephone, and is really cool because it's a modern take on Hades and Persephone. So you have them out in the world. Persephone is like in this university class and she has scholarships and stuff, and they go to clubs and stuff like that. So it's a really fun take on this. I really love the pinks and blues. I love how all the characters are like different colors. I don't know why, it just appeals to me. But I really love Hades and Persephone's story, and I think a lot of people do. It's a really good story. So if you really like mythology, especially Greek mythology, this is definitely the way to go for a graphic novel. The next one I recommend is, again, if you like superhero graphic novels, stuff like that. I really like superheroes. I have, you know, a few tattoos of my favorites, but I read The Vision, the complete collection, and it was so good. This one is by Tom King, and it has different storylines, different stories, different comics, you know, that are put into this, and it's his collection, as I said. But it's really fun getting to watch Vision as himself in the graphic novels versus how you picture him in the movies. There's like many different storylines, of course, in the graphic novels than there are in the movies, and so you get to see like what was gonna happen or what actually happens with Vision and stuff like that. And it's really, really sad, honestly, and kind of depressing. So don't go into this thinking this is gonna be like this happy-go-lucky book, which I guess the movie wasn't happy-go-lucky for him as well, but I definitely think that this one was worth reading, and I don't think I'll ever be getting rid of this because I absolutely adore Vision. And the last graphic novel recommendation that I have is Saga by Brian K. Vaughan. Saga is a sci-fi fantasy adult graphic novel, and I'm going to read to you what this one is about to give you a little bit more explanation. Saga is the sweeping tale of one young family fighting to find their place in the universe. When two soldiers from opposite sides of a never-ending galactic war fall in love, they risk everything to bring a fragile new life into a dangerous old world. Fantasy and science fiction are wed like never before in this first volume of this sexy, subversive, ongoing epic. So this one is a bit more adult. You do have like nudity and stuff like that in this. So you have gore and other stuff. So it's a pretty adult graphic novel. So I wanted to warn you before going into this, if you're expecting like, not expecting those things, you do. But there are a lot of adult themes in here, and it's just really, really good. I love that she's like this, not really, I don't want to call her a fairy because she's different than a fairy, but she's kind of like a fairy, and she has wings and stuff, and he is his, I just love this. I love this family dynamic. I love that they're on two different sides of a war and they're coming together and they have a baby, and people are threatened by that, and so they become targets just by being a family. And it's really interesting to see. I haven't read past the second or third volume, I don't remember, but I do need to get more of these and pick this series back up because it's a really good story, and I really love the characters in this and the storyline and the world. It's just amazing. So any fantasy lovers that don't mind adult themes, this one's definitely for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you got some recommendations out of this video and some new things that you can probably pick up and read. And if you're ever feeling slumpy or you just want to have a quick, easy read, I think a lot of these are really good ones, and I hope that you know, can find some inspiration from them. I'm glad that this was a suggested video for me to do for you guys. I do love suggestions, so if you have any suggestions about what kind of recommendations you want to see or any kind of videos you want to see from me, definitely let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next one.